Season 3 of The White Lotus has come and gone and cascaded into our memories. Not much happened, and we're going to talk about it in this episode. Welcome back to Movies Good, Internet Bad. I'm Cory. That's Shane. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And Shane, let's just dive right into this thing. First off, there will be spoilers in this video, but for right now, non-spoiler, general thoughts on the season as a whole.
Cory, there's this episode of Family Guy
Ah,
where
yes.
Peter says that's as useless as that breakfast machine that I bought. And it cuts away to this giant Rube Goldberg, Pee Wee Herman type Rube Goldberg machine
Yeah.
where it's like all these intricate little, maze designs that all interact with each other. And then at the very end, this balloon comes up and pulls a trigger that shoots Peter directly in the chest or something like that. And he just screams. He's like, "What was the point of that?" And that's kind of how I feel about season 3 of The White Lotus. If you
Man,
break it down into its individual pieces, cinematography was great, the acting
sure.
was great, the direction was great. All the technicals are there,
Yeah.
but I feel like it was all in service of a story that just wasn't very compelling in the end.
Fair enough. You really committed to the bit with the Family Guy thing. That's good.
Yeah.
If it was a true Family Guy bit, though, you would go back and do the whole bit all over again, like 5 or 6 more times. But
Yes.
we don't have time for that. My overall thoughts are: season 1 of this show was only 6 episodes. Season 2 of this show was 7 episodes. Season 3 of this show was 8. Obviously, it's a big success, which means that the studio, or in this case, the network, is going to ask for more, and I don't think they needed it. I think it was a
I
little bit too thin on
agree.
plot for a full 8.5 hours, especially with the thick boy of a finale at hour and 27 minutes or whatever it was. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I'll agree with a lot of the stuff. The cinematography, the lighting, the actors are very good. There's a lot of good stuff that's going on here, but at the end of the day, where does it really go? Does it land? Does it resolve? And I don't really think it did. So let's start with positives. What worked for you? And from here on out, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen this season, get out of here and come back and see us later. What worked for you?
I think the acting was great. Carrie Coon is awesome. Like, she's so great in The Leftovers, and she's great here. She gives
Yep.
a good little monologue in the finale that's good as well. Most of the acting is good. Walton Goggins was good.
Mhm.
Uh, Pretty much everyone. I don't think there was a performance that I disliked. The cinematography is great, very ethereal. They use a lot of very, very fast lenses on the
Yep.
close ups. So, like, everything's sort of in this dream state, which is intentional. The music's great, and it's actually a shame that the composer is not coming back for the next season
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Let's
of
let's
some
talk about that.
creative
They
struggles
had
or
like a
something.
falling out, and the guy
Hmm.
said, "Mike White and I have had our last fight forever," and that sounds like it's about it. So,
Yeah,
uh,
that's a real shame because the music was almost a character in and of itself in
yeah,
the show in
for
general,
all
not
three
just
seasons.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
Huh.
that's a shame. But yeah, like all the technicals, everyone knows what they're doing here.
Hmm.
Clearly, I think Sam Rockwell's monologue was so great in that one episode, so we'll always have that. Uh,
Yeah, and Walton Goggins' reaction
yes,
to the
the
monologue is
meme
also
reaction.
legendary.
Yeah,
Just wow. Oh.
yeah, but yeah, it had all of the White Lotusy things that you're
Hmm.
expecting in terms of technicals, in terms of like they're always dressed very exotically and dressed well, and all the shirts that they wear sell out like the next day, and
Yep.
all that stuff, right? So, uh, it had the feeling of a White Lotus season, so I don't think it like jumped the shark or anything.
Mm.
It just it seemed like these ideas weren't as compelling as the prior two seasons.
Yeah, which is interesting because I still think that in my heart of hearts that the first season is probably my favorite
I
still.
agree. Yeah,
It felt very, very fresh when it first came out, and I like the second season a lot as well. Don't get me wrong, but I think this one is probably my least favorite of the
agreed.
bunch. Uh,
This is by far the weakest, I think.
which is funny because this one has more of actors that I would say are like at my favorites list. Like I love
Yeah.
Carrie Coon and I love
Hmm.
Walton Goggins. Anything they're in, I'll watch. And in the finale, uh, every time Carrie Coon was on screen, I was like, okay, good, go back to your room so you don't get killed.
Yeah.
Get out of here, you're grounded. But this one, it had a little bit more death than typical
Yeah.
seasons. Typically, it's
Yeah.
usually one person that kind of gets off, and here it kind of turned into a little bit of bloodbath at the end.
It's faster and more intense. It's got to get bigger. Everything's got to be bigger as you go along. I
Yeah.
felt that that was kind of to the show's detriment. Like it felt like kind of a big dumb ending kind of thing, like a Marvel-itis where it's like, no, the ending has to be bigger. Like it can't just be a small ending. I think if you were to uh, defy expectations, then maybe like a no death ending would have been like a
Mm,
defiance of expectations. But instead, they went with a couple of, I mean, like multiple people died. Um, but I think the problem was most of the reveals in that finale were way too obvious.
very obvious. Yeah.
So, like, the reveal that that Rick's dad was the owner guy,
Yeah.
not only was extremely obvious, but it got into the idiot plot like uh area where an
Mhm.
idiot plot for those watching is where the plot would be resolved like instantaneously if everyone was just not an idiot, but instead because they're all idiots the plot goes on for longer.
Right.
And that is exactly how that storyline played out, where it's like, well,
Mhm.
Rick's an idiot because he can't control his temper, but
Yep.
also his dad's an idiot because you had like four different opportunities to tell him that, oh yeah, it's actually me who's your dad.
Yep.
And even in that finale scene where he walks up to him, he's like, well, your dad was not really a great guy. And he's talking about himself.
Yep.
It just felt like a weird way to word that, like intentionally so, where it's like nobody in real life would talk like that in that moment, but the plot required that he
Sure.
not know.
Yeah.
So, like, it's stuff like that that was just eh.
It almost felt like they were trying to tell the audience we're hoodwinking you here. No,
Yes,
nothing to see, smoke and
right.
mirrors or whatever.
And
But
then it was,
at that point, everybody knew already.
yeah.
Like it's very obvious.
And I just don't, and I get that, like, it doesn't always have to be some big twist, but it was played like a big twist. But
Sure.
we already knew what the twist was.
Right.
And there was a lot of stuff like that where it built up, like the protein shake thing. They set that up in like episode one, and everyone on the internet was like, yes, it's going to be a poisoned protein shake. So when you get to it, it doesn't feel like it's a very satisfying conclusion because it's like, well, yeah. And it's not like a clever Chekhov's gun kind of thing. It's like,
Well, it falls into the idiot plot thing because
yes.
I mean, let's be real here. Everyone in that family, even Lachlan, who is the youngest, is a grown ass adult.
Hmm.
Wash the blender before you use it a day later.
Yeah.
Like no one's just going to go, "Oh yeah, that looks fine. I'll just go ahead and make my shake." Especially the night before when the father was like, "No, there's something off with the milk. We can't
Yeah.
we can't drink this." Like idiot. That's an idiot move,
Yeah.
And I also I would have preferred if they committed to it and had him actually die. They
Yeah.
they pull the rug out from underneath you and they make you think it's going to happen. He sees his family as his eyes are blinking or
Hmm.
whatever, and then he just wakes up and he's fine. And it's like whatever,
Yeah, that
cowards.
felt dumb, and we also didn't get any reaction from the family to that event. Like, did they go to the hospital? No, they just like left. Like,
Yeah,
could there be residual poison in his body? We don't know.
who knows? They
Screw it.
also part of that though. It kind of feels like commentary on like rich white family to a
Yeah.
degree because like
Oh,
they're
for
like,
sure.
oh, we'll just see you at breakfast, bye, and they're like not even paying attention to him at all, and
Yeah.
10 seconds later he's hawking his lungs up. But
Yeah, that was such an uneven plot. The family plot, where I get the point, right? Obviously, like Saxon's supposed to have like more of a revelation towards the end. He starts reading the
sure.
books and all that stuff, but it was just a weird way of approaching it. And like by the 27th time that the dad was like fantasizing about killing himself, I was
Mhm.
like doing the same thing. Like maybe I should kill myself for watching this.
Yeah, it
It was
got
just like
very Boy Who Cried Wolf with the fantasizing about killing the family and everything. It's like,
yeah,
oh, it's not happening. It's not
you lose
happening.
the
It's not
effect a
happening. Yeah,
lot. And it was just like his entire plot line was like the first two episodes you set up that his company's fucked, and the entire six rest of the episodes is him just like staring off into oblivion. It's like
yeah,
it's just not enough character development there for it to really make sense. Maybe there were some more developments with the company, but it seemed like that was it. Like he
yeah.
just finds out that he's screwed and just like is boring the whole rest
And
of the season.
sometimes ambiguity is good, right? But I feel like with this one, it would have been nice to find out exactly what happened that entire time they all had their phones taken away, right? And
Yeah.
to give a
Yeah.
little more closure because this show, yes, there are some threads that carry through from season to season, but it's mostly anthology, where it's,
Mm-hmm.
one season, one story, and then we move on to the next thing. I would have loved to have seen what the resolution was and what their life was going to look like now that the news had, come out.
Yeah. And then the other two storylines in that family were like the incest thing, which was just hand waved away at the very end for no like it was such a big thing, and then
Look,
they just
man,
like
Lachlan is just a giver. He's a caring nurturer. He saw that Saxon was feeling left out, and he just little tug. That's all, and that's it. That's all they say about it, and then it's
yeah.
over.
It's like what?
Absolutely
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and then
Uh,
the Piper thing actually worked for me because that is like a very typical like sheltered girl move where she's like, "No, I'm going to break free." And then it's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
"Actually, I'm not going to do that."
Yep.
I didn't
I'm
like the
going to be the
cobwebs in my
rebel
room.
and be the different person, and then the
Yeah.
minute her brother is like, "I think that's a good idea too," she's like, "No, you can't have my thing," and
Yeah.
it's not her
Yeah.
thing anymore.
Yeah,
Um, eh,
it's very like privileged type of thing.
yeah,
Uh, so yeah, that was a pretty uneven storyline for me. The other big one were the I'll just call it the white women subplot, where it was the same kind of thing where they have this tension and drama between them all, and it's just resolved in like 5 seconds, and it doesn't really feel like they changed enough from the conflict to the resolution for it to be earned despite getting a great monologue from
I
Carrie
was going to
Coon.
say
Like,
Carrie Coon unites us all. So
yeah, the monologue was great, but like Jacqueline, what did she do differently? Like, I don't know.
other than cheat on her husband
Yeah,
or
and
boyfriend or
then
whatever it is,
and then Kate disappears as a character entirely about three
completely.
episodes into the show, and is just there. We
Yep.
learn nothing new about her the entire rest of the show. She's just there,
Yeah.
which again, if you've got 8 episodes to tell this story,
Yes.
why are these plot threads so underdeveloped
Yeah.
compared to the other seasons?
Well, I think part of that is what we're talking about right now. Like with the family, we just went through like five different plot arcs that are just within them. And
Yeah,
then
true.
there's two or three with the white women, and there's Belinda, and then there's Guy talking Mook, and then there's uh God knows who else. Rick and
Rick,
Chelsea and all that.
Chelsea.
Like
Yeah,
there's a lot of heavy lifting that has to go on. Maybe it would have been smart to like excise one or two of those and
yeah,
focus in a little bit more if you couldn't get it done in the 8 hours that was given to
yeah,
maybe kind of narrow things down a little bit.
yeah. With the guy talk thing again, same thing. The idiot plot. That entire plot was just him being stupid the entire time. And then the one time that he's smart and figures out the big reveal that, oh yes, they were in on it the whole time, that Valentine was helping them steal. Nothing happens because of that. He solves it, and then Valentine gives him some sad eyes, and then they forget about it. And
Okay,
then in the
fine.
end,
Guess that
they're all
eyes work.
fine.
Everything's good. Well,
Just
they're not all fine because the
well,
guards
yes,
get killed, and but then Guy Talk gets a promotion, and that's all that Mook was looking for. And
yes,
uh,
exactly.
murder is something we can get away with, but unemployment is not okay. That is the moral of the story. If you want the girl, gotta shoot some guys. So, um, what else? God,
Rick and Chelsea.
Rick and Chelsea. So I liked this storyline because uh, I love Walton Goggins first of all,
Yes,
but
of course.
I loved how regardless of whatever temptation was there, whether it was Saxon hitting on Chelsea the whole season, whether it was Rick in Bangkok with Sam Rockwell and all the cocaine and the hookers and all this other kind of stuff, they never wavered.
Yeah,
And they always came back to each other, even if Walton Goggins' character just did not want to admit it one iota. The love was there, and that's cool, you know.
yeah.
Um, and I thought they both played off of each other very well that way.
It was also kind of interesting in the whole like the age gap thing. It approached
Hmm.
it in a very like maybe it's not as weird as it comes off
Hmm.
out from the outside kind of thing. So I can kind of see that. The ending though just did not do it for me. Uh, the scene where he's in this big shootout and obvious like apparently he's the best shot in the world because
Yeah,
he's
he's
like just like John Wicking people
yep.
randomly. But the scene where there's that big shootout and then oh yay I killed all the guys and then he turns and, oh no, she's been shot. Like, I've seen that about 100 different times in
Mm-hmm.
100 different movies. It felt like it was just a cheap way of addressing that, because this show I would expect better from
Yeah.
than just the same trope that every other show does.
Yeah, I think I saw something online before the episode aired that Vegas odds had her as the highest
45%.
chance
Yeah.
of getting killed out of anyone in the cast, and then of course, it happened, which it goes back to the predictable nature of the way this season was, which sometimes predictable is good. I don't think it was the right choice necessarily in this case, and it would have also taken away some of the bleak nature of this season if Rick
Hmm.
and Chelsea got to like have a happy
Yeah.
ending other
Yeah.
than laying down in a pond dead with
Yeah.
just blood everywhere. So
Also, whose body was it that floated by in the very first episode? Was it like one of the guards or something? Because like they show
could
Walton
be.
Goggins and he's not moving. They're just
Nope.
like sitting there. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just found it interesting.
that feels
Um,
like it was about 6 months ago. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, it does. It does.
Like,
There.
do you
That's
remember Chelsea got bit by a snake
yeah,
this season?
yeah.
That happened. That wasn't
And they
2 years
kept
ago.
showing the bandage,
Yeah.
and like, like every time I saw the bandage, I was like, "What's on that?" Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
weird stuff. And there's a lot of things that just like didn't get resolved. Like
Hmm.
Parker Posey's character walked up to Leslie Bibb's character, was like, "I know you,"
Right.
and then nothing came out of it.
Yep. Because
It's
they
just a
forgot
bunch
about
of
that character 3
weird,
episodes in,
weird
and they
stuff.
just paused.
The Belinda character is kind of supposed to be like the moral compass of the show, and then she just ends up doing what Tanya did to her in season
Right.
one to
Which I
Porchai.
guess is kind of the point, is that like once presented with money, it corrupts all
Sure.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. But I also, again, didn't find that narrative incredibly compelling, and getting the $5 million did not feel very difficult.
Right.
That is introduced in the second to last episode and resolved in the next episode, and
Yeah.
it didn't feel like they did that much negotiating.
And
But
they went from 100,000 to 5 million
yeah,
in like the
and
blink of an
no
eye.
counter offer of what about 3 million or something like.
Yeah.
Again, idiot plot.
Some very interesting stuff. But hey, at the end of the day, this is an HBO show, and when you compare, maybe it's not a fair comparison, but there's a lot of slop that's on
Yeah.
streaming stuff. This is at least well made, well acted, well lit,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And I was still excited to watch the show
Hmm.
every week. By the end of it, I was kind of like, all right, look at the watch. Is this shit over with already? But
When we were halfway through the finale and like nothing had been resolved, I was like, "Are you serious? Like we're still not there."
yeah,
But
especially when they do an hour and a half for the finale.
yeah, yeah.
You
Like I would
figure
have
it's because they
assumed.
need it.
Exactly. Yeah. It kind of like the Severance finale, where it was much longer, but like that was a nonstop
Mhm.
episode.
Yep.
This was not a nonstop episode, but yeah, I again, like you said, all the technicals are there, and I was still excited to watch it,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
it was engaging, but it was in service of something that I think is just kind of hollow.
Yep. Agree 100%. But at the end of the day, the kids have had their turn. Now it's time for the adults to come in. The Last of Us season 2, just a couple days away.
Yep.
Absolutely cannot wait. I'm ready to be heartbroken and then to talk about it immediately afterwards with you on this
Sounds
show.
great.
So, I think, any other thoughts on White Lotus, or are we good to take this one
No,
home?
I don't think so. I think we've kind of covered it.
I have one question. Do you think they'll do a fourth season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too successful not to do
Yeah.
it.
The viewership's way too high, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where would you do it if you had the chance to do it? What locale?
Japan.
Japan. Okay. Japan would be good. I heard some people say ski resort. That would be kind of fun. Mix it up a little bit because the first
The
three have been
Star
very
Wars Galactic
tropical.
Star Cruiser.
With a special guest appearance from the column, that is in the way of a
Yeah.
stage show that people
Yes.
couldn't see. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. All right. That's enough White Lotus. That's going to do it for this video. Go ahead and drop us a comment below. Let us know if you enjoyed this season or if you hated this season. However you felt, leave us a comment. We'll respond to everything that comes through. Be on the lookout. We're going to have a video for episodes 3 and 4 of The Studio, which continues to be hilarious. And then next week, we are going to start covering The Last of Us Season 2 and then Andor Season 2 the week after that. So like this video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on that bell for notifications, and we'll see you guys in the next video.